Hi, my name is Aldrin Angelo B. Pasco from BSHM 2F. I will tackle about Article 8, Liberty of Tourist Movements. Tourists and visitors should have access to all available forms of communication, internal or external. They should benefit from prompt and easy access to local administrative, legal, and health services. They should be free to contact the consular representatives of their countries of origin in compliance with the diplomatic convention in force. Is the ability to offer empathy, help get feedback. Guests will be more open when they get to know they are being heard. By having effective communication, one will gain confidence and they will be more vulnerable and friendly, and conversation will be much easier. Good communication will help tourists to easily understand and enjoy his or her surroundings. Article 8, Liberty of Tourist Movements. Tourists must have access to places of transit, accommodation, and attraction sites without discrimination or excessive formalities. They must have access to communication and benefit from the same confidentiality rights as the citizen of the host country. The procedure to travel within countries and states must be harmonized and simplified.
Liberty of tourism movement. Tourism and visitors should benefit in compliance with international law and national legislation, from the liberty to move within their countries from one state to another, in accordance with Article 13 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. They should have access to places of transit and stay and to tourism and cultural sites without being subject to excessive formalities or discrimination. Nakasaad dito na ang mga turista o ang mga bisita ay dapat mabenepisyuhan sa pagsunod sa international law o national legislation na may kalayaang pumunta sa iba't ibang lugar o manatili sa isang lugar ng may formalidad at hindi nadidiskrimina ayon sa pagsunod sa Article 13, the Declaration of Human Rights. Tourists and visitors should have access to all available forms of communication, internal or external. They should benefit from prompt and easy access to local administrative, legal, and health services. They should be free to contact the consular representative of their countries of the origin in compliance with the diplomatic convention in force. Ang mga bisita o turista ay dapat magkaroon ng access sa pag-communicate sa mga empleyado sa isang business o sa mga grupo sa isang organisasyon. Nakaayon din dito na mabenepisyohan sila sa madali at mabilis na pag-access sa local administrative and legal at mga health services.
Article 8, Liberty of Tourist Movements. Tourists and visitors should benefit from the same rights as the citizens of the country visited concerning the confidentiality of the personal data and information concerning them, especially when these are stored electronically. Tourists should have the privilege of rights along with the inhabitants of a certain place. In terms of confidentiality or data privacy, there are limits a tourist can allow authority to access their information. This is a way of protecting themselves against any kind of violation or exploitation. Privileges or rights in different countries are distinct and may vary. There are a lot of factors concerning the different treatment a visitor can have, and as long as visitors abide with the strict policy or whatsoever ordinance a certain country had, the visitors are qualified to receive such equal treatment. Administrative procedures relating to border crossings whether they fall within the competence of states or result from international agreements, such as visas or health and customs formalities, should be adopted so far as possible so as to facilitate to the maximum freedom of travel and widespread access to international tourism. Agreements between groups of countries to harmonize and simplify these procedures should be encourage specific taxes and levies penalizing the tourism industry and undermining its competitiveness should be gradually phased out or corrected. Visitors are allowed to travel from one country to another across its borders as long as it is processed or regulated by official with the corresponding requirements necessary for such action. The level of border crossing will depend upon the predetermined requirements a visitor must have, and the possession of this legal document will enable the visitors to perform such act.
So far as the economic situation of the countries which they come permits, travelers should have access to allowances of convertible currencies needed for their travels. We are aware that some travelers may be traveling from countries where the local currency is not convertible to other currencies. In this case, they will need to access the allowances of convertible currencies needed for their travels. Article 9. Rights of the workers and entrepreneurs in the tourism industry. The rights of workers and entrepreneurs in the tourism industry are a lot like rights of the other workers. Tourism is an industry that relies on the efforts of many people, from the workers who make hotel reservations to the entrepreneurs who launch the new hotels or restaurants. The workers and entrepreneurs in this industry deserve to be treated fairly, and their rights should be respected.
Okay, let's discuss about the rights of the workers and entrepreneurs in the tourism industry according to the Global Code of Ethics for Tourism. The first one is given the unique constraints associated with their activity seasonal variation, the global nature of their industry, and the frequent flexibility required of them by the nature of their duties. The fundamental rights of salaried and self-employed workers in the tourism industry and related activities must be ensured under the supervision of national and local administration, both of their countries' origin and the respective countries. Salaried and self-employed workers in the tourism industry and related industries have the right and obligation to obtain appropriate initial and ongoing training. They should be provided with adequate social protection. Job insecurity should be minimized to the greatest extent possible, and seasonal workers in the industry should be given a special status with particular consideration to their social welfare.
Exchange of experience offered to executive and workers, whether salaried or not, from different countries, contributors to foster the development of the world tourism industry. These movements should facilitated so far as possible in compliance with the applicable national law and international conventions. For me, the development of global tourism industry is aided by exchange of experience offered to exclusive executives and employees from various nations, whether or not they are salaried. This movement should be facilitated to the greatest extent possible while the relevant nation laws and irrelevant convention. Number 5, as the irreplaceable factor of solidarity in the development and dynamic growth of international exchanges. multinational enterprises of the tourism industry should not exploit the dominant position they sometimes occupy. They should avoid becoming the vehicle of cultural and social models artificially imposed on the host communities in exchange for their freedom to invest and trade, which should be fully recognized. They should involve themselves in local development, avoiding by the excessive repatriation of their profit or their induced imports, a reduction of their contribution to the economy which they are established. It says multinational enterprises in tourism sector should not be abused or dominant position they occasionally hold. They should avoid serving as the platform cultural and social models that are forcibly imposed on the host communities in exchange for their freedom to invest and trade, which should be fully recognized. They should get involved in local development and as indispensable element of solidarity in the development of dynamic growth of international exchanges.
Article 10, Implementation of the Principles of the Global Code of Ethics for Tourism. It talks about public and private stakeholders in tourism development, along with international institutions and non-government organizations, must work together to implement and monitor these principles. Ibig sabihin lamang po sa Article 10 na ang mga pampubliko at pribadong stakeholders sa pagpapaunlad ng turismo, kasama ang mga international na institusyon at non-government organization ay dapat makipagtulungan upang ipatupad at subaybayan ang mga nasabing prinsipyo. Number 1 of Article 10 says, the public and private stakeholders in tourism development should cooperate in the implementation of these principles and monitor their effective application. Ibig sabihin po ang mga pampubliko at pribadong stakeholders sa pagpapaunlad ng turismo ay dapat lamang makipagtulungan sa usaping pagpapatupad ng mga prinsipyong nasabi. At ito ay kailangang subaybayan upang malaman kung naging epektibo ba ang kanilang naisagawa na aplikasyon.
The stakeholders in tourism development should be the ones who value and recognize the importance of international institutions. World tourist and non-governmental organizations are the ones who promote and ensure continuous growth and development are at play. They also protect human rights. The health of the environment is that with the values and principles proposed by the international law. This means that the stakeholders should be the ones that are most supportive of the rules the international institution abide.
Article number 10, the implementation of the principle of the Global Code of Ethics for Tourism. This article means that public and private stakeholders in tourism development along with the international institution and non-government organization must work together to implement and monitor these principles. In addition, the same parties involved should make clear that they intend to bring any disagreements about the use or interpretation of the World Committee on Tourism Ethics or WCTE to an unbiased third party of resolution. Nakapaloob sa Article number 10 na ang mga partidong nai-involve ay kinakailangang klaruhin ang kanilang intensyon sa pag-disagree patungkol sa interpretasyon ng World Committee in Tourism Ethics nang walang halong bias upang maresolbahan ito.